Hey there, it's Leona. Welcome to Zen Mindfulness Shodo. Today, we're gonna practice Shodo meditation while focusing on the Hiragana character for O. So, let's begin a beautiful journey together. When you write a character, imagine a square about the size of the character that you are gonna write like this. First, I'm gonna write it. Then I'm gonna explain the points and tips for writing the character beautifully in detail. Alright, now I'm gonna explain the points and tips for writing the character beautifully. The first stroke starts from a point, a bit lower than, and to the left of, the center point of the top left square, or starts from a point, a bit higher than, and to the left of, the middle of the left half of the middle horizontal line. The first stroke is a line that curves down. It moves upward to the right while curving down until the middle vertical line. This stroke looks more beautiful when it gets thicker as it moves to the right, as compared to the line that moves to the right with the same thickness from the beginning point to the end point. It's just a little detail, so it's totally fine to make this stroke with the same thickness all the way through from the starting point to the end point. When it comes to the middle vertical line, it moves upward to the left, like this, before the pen touches the paper for the next stroke. The second stroke starts from a point directly above the middle of the first stroke, and a point slightly higher than the center point of the top left square. It moves down while curving to the right and parallel to the middle vertical line until it is vertically centered in the square box. So the space above the starting point of the stroke and the space below the lowest point of the stroke are almost the same size. When it comes to the point, it moves upward to the left at about a 45-degree angle until a point under the first stroke or slightly to the right. From there, it moves upward to the right while curving up, like drawing a circle. It goes through a point at about the middle of the second stroke, under the first stroke. The height of the crossing point is important. For example, I'm gonna write it here. If you make the second stroke like this, in this case, the crossing point is higher than the middle of the second stroke under the first stroke. That means it's going through around here. If it goes through like this, the character doesn't look balanced and beautiful. On the other hand, if you create the second stroke like this, the crossing point is lower than the middle of the second stroke under the first stroke. That means it's going through around here, and the character as a whole doesn't look balanced and beautiful. So height of the crossing point of the second stroke is important when you're writing a hiragana character, or just keep that in mind. When it turns here, I'm gonna write an example here. When it makes a sharp turn like this, the beauty of curves that are unique to hiragana characters is not expressed properly. However, if it makes a round turn like this, that character as a whole might look cute, but also childish. So when it makes a turn here, make a turn with the sharpness somewhere between these two, and try not to make the turning point too sharp or too round. When it moves upward to the right, it looks more beautiful when it goes to the right, parallel to the first stroke. For example, if the angle of this part is like this, and it's not parallel to the first stroke, the character will look like this. Also, if the angle of this part is like this, the angle is too steep, and it's also not parallel to the first stroke. the character as a whole might look unbalanced. So try to make the angle of this part closer to parallel to the first stroke. This stroke moves upward to the right, and it gradually moves down while curving, when the space to the right of the right edge of the stroke and the space to the left of the left edge of the stroke are almost the same size. The character is in the center of the square box, so it looks balanced and beautiful. So try to go through a point that makes the two spaces almost the same size. For instance, if you write like this, that means it's going through around here. So this space inside, this space, will become smaller. But if you write this part like this, that means it's going through around here. This space inside might become bigger, but the character doesn't look balanced. That's why we often use this kind of square box when we practice Japanese calligraphy, so we know which part of the stroke is too short or too long for the size of the character, and practice adjusting the spaces around the character in order to make the character look more balanced and beautiful. As it moves down, gradually reduce pressure to make the line thinner and scoop upward towards the starting point of the next stroke. It'll look more beautiful if you can make the end point appear to be connected to the third stroke with the invisible line. When it makes a turn, if it turns at the same height as the bottom left point of this stroke, the character will look more stable, well balanced and beautiful. For example, if you create this part of the stroke like this, that means it's going through around here, so the character doesn't look balanced. On the other hand, if you make this part of the stroke like this, that means it's going through around here, and the character also doesn't look balanced. So try to scoop upward at about the same height as the bottom left point. Before touching the paper for the third stroke, the pen moves up from the end point of the second stroke like this. Imagine extending the first stroke like this. The third stroke starts from that height, or slightly lower than that. It moves downward to the right at about a 45-degree angle, while curving up. It's just a little detail, but it looks more beautiful when it gets thicker as it moves downward to the right, as compared to the line that keeps the same thickness all the way through from the starting point to the end point. You can better express the beauty of the curves that are unique to hiragana characters by making this stroke gradually get thicker as it moves downward to the right. It looks more balanced when the end point is around vertically above the right edge of the character. When the end point is too far from the right edge of the character, the third stroke might be too long for the size of the character. For example, when you write this character like this, it looks like third stroke is placed too high for the character. And when you write this character like this, it looks like the third stroke is placed too low for the character. And when you write this character like this, it looks like the third stroke is too far away from the other two strokes, and the strokes don't seem to fit together as a whole. Keep these tips and points in mind as you practice. I know that there are many tips and points to keep in mind when writing the hiragana character, and it's a very difficult character to write beautifully. But when you master all these points, you'll probably feel satisfied with the shape of your hiragana and like it. You also feel accomplished. So just take this as a challenge for yourself and try to enjoy mastering it. Lastly, writing something is also about how much blank space you leave where you don't write. So instead of just paying attention to this black text part, Try practicing paying attention to the space and shape of this white part as well, and how to adjust or create the space in this white part. Just try thinking about that as well. Alright, keep these things in mind when you practice. The key points for writing hiragana characters, as explained in the video, are concisely summarized in this book in a similar manner. The book allows you 3 pages to practice each character. It can be purchased on Amazon. See the link in the description. I'm gonna practice 1 page of this workbook this time, but you're welcome to practice as much as you want. If you're practicing with a pen, I recommend that you place a few pieces of paper under the page that you're writing on, so that the ink doesn't bleed onto the page under it. Alright, let's get started. Before you start writing, take a deep breath and clear your mind. Slowly breathe in as much air as you can through your nose, and exhale all the negative emotions that you've been holding until this moment through your mouth. When you're mentally ready to write, you can start writing. Check the starting point, turning point, end point, the angle of the stroke, and the direction of the curve. After that, without hesitation, aim for the end point and move the pen smoothly. Try to write much slower than you normally write, putting your heart and soul into each stroke. However, if you move the pen too slowly, the lines will become shaky. And if you move the pen too quickly, the lines will become thinner in areas you don't want them to be thinner. So concentrate on finding the right speed. Once you've finished writing the character, look at the character as a whole and think about what changes you should make next in order to make it look even more beautiful. Of course, you don't have to take all the tips and points that I've told you and copy my way of writing the character. Trust your own sense of beauty and adjust accordingly. It's important that you're satisfied with the shapes of the characters you write. So, please use my tips and points as ideas and hints for adjusting the shapes of the characters to your sense of beauty. Of course, you can't change the shape so much that it no longer looks like a character. If you notice that you're thinking about something else while writing, immediately refocus on what you're writing. By repeating this exercise, you'll be able to notice when your attention starts turning to something unrelated to your current action, and gradually improve your concentration and self-control. You can also build your patience with this practice. So, let's practice together. It's just natural that we are unable to create perfectly satisfying strokes every time. Instead of blaming yourself for not being able to make strokes that you want, try praising yourself for taking on difficult challenges. On this channel, I not only share tips and points for writing Japanese characters beautifully in English and Japanese, and with a pen and a brush. But also practice Zen Mindfulness Shodo meditation that focuses all of our attention on the present moment. If you want to learn how to write other characters, or if you want to keep practicing Zen Mindfulness Shodo meditation with me, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell mark so you get a notification as soon as I upload a new video. If you liked this video, or if you thought the information was useful, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you share my videos with people who might be interested, it will be a good support, not only for me, but also for them. Alright, let's learn and practice together again in my next video. Thank you for watching.